Google penalties are a huge concern for SEOs. It's scary to think that organic traffic can be virtually wiped out overnight with a penalty. In case you're brand new to SEO, here's a short version of what penalties are. If you violate Google guidelines and get caught, Google will slap your site with a penalty so that your search engine rankings will decline dramatically. However, at times, despite your best efforts to comply with Google guidelines and recommendations, you still may get hit with a penalty. Some penalties can be caused completely out of your control, such as negative SEO attacks, and they are very common. Regardless of what triggered the penalty, whether it's for your personal site or for your clients, you need to be able to diagnose what caused it and fix it. In most cases, you can get almost all of your search traffic back in a short term. Getting hit by a penalty has a devastating effect. Google is by far the biggest search engine and it is responsible for 83% searches. It handles 14 billion searches a month. So it's a huge source of potential organic traffic. And the quality of organic traffic is always amazing. 57% of B2B marketers say that SEO has the biggest impact on lead generation. This is because they are looking for something specific. So, get ready to deal with penalties. At this stage, let me tell you that a penalty is different from an algorithm change. Search engines deliver the best results to searchers. That is their objectives. So they are constantly indexing the best sites and creating programs or algorithms to understand site content and keyword relationship. So sometimes there are updates to their algorithm wherein they try and understand the relationship better. Other times they update the algorithm to detect what we search engines say black hat SEO. They are up there upgrading the algorithm to detect these techniques. So there's a difference between the two. There's a difference between a penalty and there's a difference between the Google algorithm update. The minute your traffic drops, you assume that you have been penalized. Before assuming that your site is penalized, check for technical glitches. There could be server issues, robot.txt blocking access, crawling issues, improper redirects. In addition, a traffic drop may also be caused by other factors, for example, a seasonal niche. Traffic varies dramatically depending upon the time of the year. Traffic drops can also be caused by algorithmic changes or changes in SERP layout. These are typically small changes, but if Google adds a big carousel to your main keyword search results, it can have a fairly big impact on your search traffic. There are many things that indicate a penalty on the site: traffic drop on individual pages, traffic drop on specific keywords, big traffic drop overall, significant number of pages get de-indexed, an entire site gets de-indexed. Penalties come in all shapes and sizes, and there isn't one definite sign of a penalty. So let's examine manual penalty first. Google employs manual quality raters. It's impossible for current algorithms to detect all types of guideline violations. Slides can be flagged as potential guideline violators and then they are evaluated by quality raters. If the quality rater sees something fishy going on, they can give you a penalty. The good news is that unless and until you're doing something shady on purpose, you are never likely ever to face a manual penalty. For example, not long ago, there were mass manual penalties given to sites that tried to use private blog networks to boost rankings. The other good thing about manual penalty is Google is pretty transparent about these penalties. To check for manual penalties, log into Google Search Console, commonly called the Webmasters. You can see a penalty in two places. When you get penalized, you usually get a message about it. Click on All Messages in your main account dashboard or click on Messages from the side menu. Alternatively, you can look in the Search Traffic Manual Action section of the menu. Hopefully it says if you have no penalties, but if you have, you might see something like this. There are many types of annual penalties. Some will be site-wide, some will only affect specific pages. If you are investigating an old penalty, it's possible that the penalty may have expired. All manual penalties expire at one point or another, although some last much longer. If the penalty expires, it doesn't necessarily mean that you fixed the issue. If you haven't, you're likely to get hit again if you have a manual review. The types of manual penalties would be natural links to sites. It says impact links, natural links to sites, unnatural links from site, hack site, thin content, pure spam, user-generated spam, cloaking, hidden text, spammy free host, and spammy structured markup. We'll see what all of them mean one by one. Google uses the backlinks pointing to your site as a measure of its quality. Of course, Google wants to count only natural backlinks that were created without your involvement. There's a little bit of gray area when it comes to the question that what is or what isn't a natural link or an unnatural link. But if your site looks like a paid link or a part of a link scheme, Google doesn't like it and slashes a penalty on you. Unnatural link actions come in different forms. First, you may see unnatural links to your site impacts links. This manual action isn't actually a penalty. If Google determines that some links aren't legitimate, it may discount their linking value altogether and give you the message. No action is required on your part, though of course you may want to look into why you are attracting shady links. Second, you just see unnatural links to your site. Now this is a bad one. Essentially, Google has seen that these unnatural links make a big part of your link profile that it labeled your site as untrusted. This penalty affects your traffic. This is why negative SEO can be effective. If someone sends a ton of spammy links to a small website that changes the site's link profile a lot, they can be slashed with a penalty. Finally, you get a manual action for having unnatural links from your site. This refers to the links on your site, the links in your content. If you are linking out to a ton of suspicious exact character or anchor text links or have site-wide links to spammy sites, you could get hit by this. This penalty also needs to be fixed. Sometimes it will be a site-wide penalty, but it will often be placed just on a few pages if it is a localized issue. Google's primary goal is to help users find what they are looking for. If the first page on your search query returns pages of regurgitated information, essentially saying the same thing, you would feel frustrated. This is bad for the searcher. So Google actively tries to reduce the amount of thin or duplicate content that shows up in search results. These pages are defined as producing little or no added value. It includes automatically generated content, thin affiliate pages, content from other sources, that is scrapped content or low-quality guest post, doorway pages. This manual action shows up as thin with little or no added value in the search console. The penalty can have varying levels of impact on your search traffic. Usually, it reduces a site's traffic by 5 to 50%, which is a big deal, depending upon the severity of the issue. There are also few manual actions related to spam. Spam can mean a wide variety of things. It includes excessive or malicious cloaking, scraping content, automatically generated content, and more. It's rare to get the pure spam penalty unless you created a spam site on purpose. At this point, you're probably better off starting from the scratch. However, other spam penalties can also hurt your traffic and aren't necessarily your fault. For example, user-generated spam message refers to things like spam in comments or in forum profiles. These can be cleaned up with a little bit of work and your traffic will go back to normal. Another manual action is spammy free hosts. Spammers typically use cheap and free web hosts. If a host primarily hosts spam sites, Google may penalize all sites on that web host. If you pick the wrong host, you need to find a new one. Those are the most manual actions taken on the websites. Now let's get into the algorithmic penalties which cause tons of troubles for website owners. If you think you have a penalty, but you don't see any manual actions in Search Console, it's probably an algorithmic penalty. Essentially, Google creates different algorithms to detect spams and other violations, and sometimes it even does that to improve its search results. When it creates algorithms to detect spam and violations, it penalizes the site. Each algorithm type will target a different type of violation. So if you understand the algorithm that affected you, you'll need to know what violation you need to fix. The annoying part of these penalties is that you don't get a nice clear message anywhere, even not even in Search Console. So you will need to do a bit of investigating to figure out what penalty was caused by. To recognize which penalties hit your site, you need to match the date when you saw the penalty occur with the date that Google ran one of its algorithms. If you continuously monitor your site's algorithm or health, you'll have much easier time with this because you'll know the current algorithm that every SEO news site is talking about is the one that is affecting you. If the penalty occurred in the past, don't worry, you can still figure it out. The first step is to identify when the penalty hit you. For this, you will want to use Search Console, Google Analytics, or any other analytics, or both. If it's a traffic issue, Google Analytics is the easiest. If it's an indexing issue, then you need to use the Search Console. For a traffic issue, log into Google Analytics, select a wide range of the date in your default audience view panel. The day you were hit by the penalty will be obvious. Now you have two options to identify which algorithm caused your penalty. The first is the manual option. Go to Moz's algorithm calendar to see when past algorithms were run. Find the date that you had written down for your traffic drop. See which algorithms occurred before or on that date. Sometimes it takes a few days for the algorithm to run full. In most cases, you can be pretty confident that you've identified the algorithm that caused your penalty. There is another option, that is, you can use a tool such as the Penguin tool. To use this, you have to log in with your GA account. It will then line up a graph to your traffic with lines that indicate when the algorithms were run. If you are a visual person, this might be easier. Now that you know whether your penalty is manual or algorithmic, which one in particular, your next step is to understand what the penalty was for.